Good morning, everyone. I just starting my walk. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Mine was okay. Same shit, different year. Anyway, I have a doctor's appointment today, so I basically scheduled the day off because it's winter, one, and it just eliminates the truck shuffle that my dispatch has to deal with. So, medical appointment with my practitioner, with my primary care, which is the third one in 4 years. Third. Of course, VA, it's like a revolving door. I think the issue that the VA is dealing with is this. One, the people that are being treated at the VA, unless they're in the Vietnam, Korea War era, and I'm speculating only based upon the fact of what I have actually seen in the waiting room while I was, waiting for my appointment, okay, are heavily reliant and or compliant. And then you got the select few, the rogues in that arena who are like, yeah, you're full of shit, doc. So anyway, it was some time ago. I was, God, how long ago? Fuck. It was probably 2018 time frame. Alright, 19. And I think I was there for my intake, actually. And, or blood work, one of the two. And, I was sitting in the waiting room, and there was a woman there, and, she got to chatting with me. And military wives, they like to talk to you. Oh, how was you, did you have combat time, yada, yada, all that kind. Fun, wonderful questions, and going down memory lane, and whatnot. And she was in there with her husband, who was a veteran, and he was fragile. And I had my book, one of these. it was one of this one. It was one of these two. This one or this one. I was reading, and she glanced over, started asking me questions. So I started to explain why it was I was reading them. And she was like, that's very interesting. What is the name of that book again? So she wrote down the titles. Okay. Now, when you get seen at the VA, you generally don't run across these people ever again. You're not going to see the same person there every time you go. It's, they come and they go to move, they go get seen at a different place. You hardly, rarely ever cross paths again. And I've had a lot of interesting conversations with people in regards to those two books. So, my medical appointment today is going to be with my primary care, of which, here's the messed up scenario. Typically, if the way my doctor in Cookville, that VA, was awesome. She'd call me, be like, I need to schedule you, I need you to come in and do blood work on this day. No problem. So I drive there, do the blood work. She goes, while I was getting my blood work done, the nurse was looking up available appointments with that doctor. So I go back to the desk, the little checkout area, and she would schedule me my follow-up appointment. So my doctor had a bird's eye view of all of the tests that she would get done. Hell did I do with them? They're on the table. Anyway, giant list of blood work that she would have done. so she could get a perspective of what my health status was prior to having me come back and physically checking me. Okay? Now, she did everything, like lay back on the table, she checked my abdominal region, you know, she checked my flexibility, understanding what my rating is based on, and then she would ask questions. And she would ask me, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay? You know, because I have post-traumatic stress disorder. And I have it from varying different resources, not just combat. Combat affected, but yeah, a little. More so, the military in itself created post-traumatic stress disorder, and that is a different subject altogether, and I can go on for fucking days about the psychosis that a lot of the people have to experience on a general day-to-day. Yeah, good times. Anywho, so my conversation with her, you know, she's, oh, we need to get that book. So I was like, yeah, I said, I don't know if it would help you, but, you know, maybe something to look at, you know. So I don't like to push stuff down people's throat. However, when it comes to my family, I have a tendency to make them start asking questions. And the one question that I had was, they had done, I think it was an angiogram, or they had put in stents or something into my stepdad. And when they did the angiogram and they were looking, his cardiologist and the surgeon were like, he doesn't have any plaque. It's less than like 2 millimeters, if at all, in one area. One little teeny tiny spot. And it's not obstructing, okay? So my mom was like, all right. And then they prescribed him a statin. So she called me. She goes, what's that list that you've got? And I said, well, they have to have a high cholesterol, but they also have to have these other things that kind of, you know, put into the ratio of a risk factor kind of thing. And so I started rattling them off to her, and she was like, no. And so she goes, I understood him being on one for like the first month post-healing. I said, yeah, because if there's, you don't want, if he's got high cholesterol, okay, so let's go there. They put him on a statin post-surgical. And the fact is, he doesn't even have high cholesterol. He has an AFib. Now, I just recently found out today that an AFib could actually be attributed to thyroid function. So, that kind of put a little bit of a twist in all of my knowledge. I was like, whoa, now I'm backpedaling. Okay, start studying the thyroid and let's see what we got here. Right? So, I research this stuff all the fucking time. I'm not a doctor. So, don't take any of my advice, but they are valuable questions that you should research on your own to make you a little bit more knowledgeable in respects to either what they're looking at, why they're declaring it, how you feel, and there's an awesome video Dr. Barry has out. I don't know what it's titled. It's in my health playlist. Find it. And he talks about informed consent. Now here's the thing that, of course, my mom, when it comes to anything medical, she comes to me, picks my brain. And when she asks me a question and I don't know the answer, I go look it up and I find something that can contribute to what she needs to know. Yay or nay. Is this good? No. Is this bad? No. It has variables. You need to know what these variables are in order to assess on your own. So education is key. So what I had asked her, I was like, well, if he has high cholesterol, then a statin post-surge probably would be a good idea, because any aggravation to the endothelial lining inside the artery is going to create a cytokine storm. It's going to create a reaction. Shit's going to happen. Cells are going to try to regenerate. Cholesterol is going to get caught up in the mix, trying to force itself into that cellular layer to help heal. Because the only way to get in is to aggravate an artery. So they'll go either through the groin or they'll go through the lower portion of the leg, whichever one looks to be the easiest access point or the healthiest area that they can work with. That's not going to, compromise the health of the patient. So he had this procedure done, and they had put him on a statin post-operative, which 30 days. So my mom was like, okay, precautionary, got it. But he's never had a heart attack. He's had AFib. AFib and heart attack are completely different. A lot of people don't understand that. AFib is a neurological malfunction. Something neurologically is going on within the valves in the heart that are causing it to freak out. Now, it could be a calcified valve. It could be a deformed valve. It could be blood pressure induced. There's a lot of varying components. So, my stepdad was feeling like shit. He couldn't remember the dog's name. He named her. He was calling her something else. My mom was like, he's losing his fucking marbles. So she's like, I need you to look up these medications, give me the side effects. I was like, all right, so there I am Googling. And she's got a little piece of paper and she's writing it all down. I said, these are the side effects. Have you seen any of these? I said, they've got him on 4 different medications, so how are you supposed to narrow it down to 1? She goes, well, this didn't happen until he got put on the statin. I said, well, there's your fucking answer right there. I said, I do not condone statins. There's a lot of doctors across the board that frown upon them, and 99% of the time, the reason why they frown on them is because they are being used like candy. And 90% of it is because of Big Pharma's payout program. And a lot of doctors are ignorant. They are ignorant. They're not recognizing, they're being educated during a time frame. Like they're from 1990 to 1998. That's their paradigm. And what was popular in that paradigm? Low fat, high carb. They're not taking the association of any time frame from their upbringing of whatever, 67 to, 1997, age group, whatever, into account and looking into the history of what we used to eat and how we used to eat and what was standard practice. Heart disease, and it isn't written, it is literature, it is out there. They have looked at it, they've graphed it, they've studied it up, down, inside, out, and sideways. Did not become a concern until Eisenhower had his heart attack. But they had all of the rogue doctors, and everybody has tried to cancel with Dr. Enig, and she fought against this whole hypothesis that cholesterol was the villain for years, till the day she died. And she was part of the Weston Price Foundation and westonprice.org. Fabulous site. If you want to educate yourself real fast, that's one site I'd recommend. Take a gander. Get your learn on. Because, it'll open your eyes to a lot of different things. Anyway, so prior to that, it was when they invented the beautiful trans fat of margarine. Because butter was expensive. And it was expensive to make. Well, now they've got it down to a science. They can mass produce this stuff. Lickety split. And now they're price gouging the shit out of it. And, you know, what are you going to do? You want butter or you want margarine? I want butter. I'm going to pay the extra money. I don't care if the Amish make it. I mean, if I'm in a crunch, I'll do the Land O'Lakes. But talking brands here. But if I'm not struggling, I'm going for the stuff that is European. Because I know how they manage their cattle and how they manage the feeding schedules and what they put in their cows and yada yada yada. Everything is untainted over there. If I had an option for even considering eating cereal, I would eat the ones that were shipped over in England and Canada, as opposed to eating the ones that are manufactured here for America. Pasta, same thing. I'm going to clean out my pasta. My sister, she wants to eat that deadly stuff. I give it to her. It's yours. I will go stock up on the stuff that hasn't been chemical to death and over processed to death that come from over in Italy or Germany, where their laws are strict too. Yeah, I'll eat European food. No problem. Now, if we could just get their meat over here, that would be great. But yeah, it's kind of hard getting it from across the pond. Anyway, so I have book recommendations for anybody who is really concerned about their health and you want to educate yourself and you want to be able to ask the appropriate questions to your doctor when you do see them in respects. Now, my stepfather had stopped his statin after he'd been on it 3 months. For 30 days, we kind of understood. You know, probably not a bad idea. Post-op precaution, right? Well, then he kept prescribing it, the cardiologist. The cardiologist had not even looked at my stepfather's blood work. His cholesterol was so low that he should have never even been on a statin, even post-op. It was below the low threshold. So, it just says, high cholesterol is not always the villain in this situation. He has an AFib. There's other people out there who have a defib. And those particular malfunctions, there's a shitstorm of different things that could cause that. And it's understanding what those causes are. So, the general population needs to get educated. Period. In all areas of medical and health. Across the board. The link that I have, and I'm going to put it down here again. People need to read this. There's, in my health playlist, there is a few things that people need to be aware of. There's one where the guy explains when cancer isn't cancer. It's over-screening. I am a victim of that over-screening. And I finally put my foot down and I said, when they asked why I was there, I wrote gold digging. And the radiologist came, it was like, I saw your comment. I said, are we done here? Can I wait a year before you all try to squeeze my tits and radiate me to death? I said, I've had 5. This would be the 6th one in a 2-year period. Tests on my girls. Looking at one area. Six. In 24 months. With no sign of it. There was a questionable spot. Questionable. No one biopsied. No one took a syringe and said, let's check this. Why not just do a blood test and see if I have a high elevated T cell count? You think the general population knows about that test? No one did that. No one just said, you know what? Yeah, it looks a little weird, but let's check her shit. See if she's got an elevated T cell count. And I played their game. And after the 6th one, I put down there gold digging. I got my point across. Now they're going to leave me alone. The fact is that they were looking to find it. They were trying to find it. They could not find it. They weren't focusing on the issues that I had, like the issues that I'm claimed on for the VA. They weren't looking at my back. They weren't trying to get me into physical therapy. My vagus nerve is fucking jacked up. It needs a chiropractor and a realignment and like a monthly maintenance visit. But the facility that we had, or the people that were actually seeing me here in my local area, 4 miles away, during the Rona, they all moved down into the city, and I'm like, no. I'm not going down there. Not at that time of day. You can refer me, because you're putting my life at risk, even thinking I should do that. Given that I'm injured and I don't have optimal rotation. I have enough rotation to pass a DOT physical. But it's not where I want it, because my quality of life has gone to shit because the VA has neglected my requests and or been unable to accommodate with any respectable, it was like Tuesdays at 2 p.m. You're fucking joking, right? You ain't got nothing at 7? Oh no, they're not available. I said, anytime at 7? Oh no, they don't work until noon. Well, that's your fucking problem. Get me something at 7 a.m. And the request went out the window. The great cholesterol myth. Lies my doctor told me. An equivalent of one of these, which is pretty fucking expensive, and unless you already have a pre-med type of biology in your background, I took this shit 20 years ago. I'd have to retake it, that or clip out. And then I've got these 3. I'm in the middle of that one. See, it's page tabbed. I'm in the middle of this one too. For you women out there going through menopause, I suggest that book, Blind Spots. And while you're at it, buy your doctor a copy. And then, of course, I've got this one. Now, Dr. Saladino wrote this when he was in the high time of his carnivore diet. He's a very active individual. He has started implementing honey and fruit, things of that nature, back into his diet. But because he is so active, he can afford to. Not recommended to add all of that sugary shit and or, conscientiously start eating fruit every day if you are doing carnivore, if you're sedentary, or if you're not surfing 3 hours a day, or you're not running 10 miles every morning, shit like that. He needed the extra carbs because he has such an active lifestyle. Totally understandable, but he still stays away from grains. That right there is the taboo. That is what is causing all of our problems. And it's not the grains per se. It's how they process them. It's the chemicals that they use to process them. American grains make me sicker than a fucking dog. European grains, don't even feel like I ever ate them. Don't gain any weight. Don't feel sick. Don't get bloated. Don't get lightheaded. Don't get a sugar crazy spike. And it's not so much as a spike, it's a bottom out. I don't do sugar, I do honey. I do raw, unfiltered honey. There's a difference. There's a difference between processed, white, granulated sugar and honey. Now, yeah, honey has a higher glycemic index. However, my body doesn't attack it like it does regular sugar that's processed. My honey, it goes up and it slowly comes back down. Sugar, it goes up and it slam bottoms out. I don't know if you've ever experienced a 39 glucose level. Feel like you just drank 8 beers within a 30-minute period. That's what it feels like. With a touch of menopause. So, 8 beers and a hot flash. Good times. Dealt with that since I was 23. Doctors dismiss it. Try to explain it to them, they dismiss it. And this was when I wasn't drinking. I just recently probably the last 10 years, got an affinity for alcohol. But prior to that, when I was in the Army, yeah, maybe a little. Not every night. If I had to bring work home, oh yeah, I had a 12-pack there. Kept me awake. That's weird. Most of the time people who get drunk, they want to pass the fuck out. Nope, woke me right up. Things that make you go, But yeah, I'm not a doctor. You need to check with your doctor. I do not check with my doctor. That's probably what pisses them off. But yeah, if you're going to be going onto a statin, make sure that you know what all the side effects are, so you can narrow it down against all of the other medications that they've stacked you on. But truth be known, my stepdad stopped his statin, and within about a week, he started to feel better. He did it because he got sick of paying the money for something that was making him feel like shit. And then when he went to his doctor, like right before Thanksgiving, my stepsister went with him. And she asked the doctor, what were his numbers? And the doctor was like, she's like, we ain't leaving without him. And he looked him up and he was like, oh my. That's grossly low. You definitely don't need to be on one. Sometimes you got to listen to your own body. And I listen to my own body. And I listen to my own heart. And when it comes to stuff like this, you're not going to put me on a medication that's presumably permanent without telling me how it's going to affect me. And that's where they've all gone wrong. Not one time has that monster been given as a suggestion and told to me with informed consent information of every side effect that I might experience being on this shit. And what they do is you come in, oh God, I got pain in my legs. Gabapentin. Oh, I feel foggy. They'll do something else, change your diet, whatever. I don't know what they do for foggy brain. I know what they do for neuropathy though. Gabapentin. Muscle relaxers. Stack. Rake in that payback at the end of the year from the pharmaceutical industry. That's what they fucking do. That's why they don't tell you what you're going to experience. And if you're smart, you'd look it up before you even start taking it. That's called due diligence. That's self-help. Self-care. having enough knowledge to look shit up before you put it in your body. And these same dingbats who are going off of everything that the doctor says is fucking gospel, the cult followers of the medical practitioners, are the same ones having the issues. Same ones that comply, fall in line, follow the leader. Well, everyone who knows me, yeah, I'm a little neurodivergent. I listen to my spidey senses a lot. And when it comes to this, when they start talking about putting it in the water, I start thinking about Mao Zedong and his little red book. And now we're going to branch into politics. But I've been on here giving my head off for 31 minutes. So I'm going to shut this down. I'll probably get flagged. Who knows? But yeah, I got a counter full of supplements because I $1,000 or more worth of supplements, so I don't have to take one $39 a month pill. That's going to cause side effects out the fucking wazoo. To me, it's worth it. Y'all, do your research. Medical disclaimer, check with your doctor. And then do some more research. Peace out.